on this bright and beautiful day. I want to talk to you about why you should slow down to market fast. What do I mean by that? I mean, as a marketer, when you're bringing your product or service to market, whether it's your latest campaign or overall company marketing strategy or whatever other aspect you might be pushing, remember, quality matters more than quantity in most cases, especially if you're trying to establish and build brands for the long term. And to that end, it's important to remember that you'll generally get better results by focusing on making a higher quality marketing product than on trying to rush to make a lower quality marketing product. Because the very obvious reason for that is that if you send out garbage, you'll get garbage results. And if you send out high-end, high-quality marketing information, you'll get better results. Now, this may seem kind of obvious, but in practicality, it's very counterintuitive because most human beings are fairly irrational. And so what a lot of them will do, regardless of how much experience they have as marketers, is they will rush to produce something when they could just pause, slow down, make sure all the ducks are lined up, and then execute. As the old saying goes, you only have one chance to make a first impression. And it doesn't matter if you're worth $300 billion and you can spend $44 billion on some social media platform and think that you can just change the logo in one aspect of your website and suddenly your rebrand is done. That's not how it goes. That might work for some people who can just throw endless amounts of cash to fix a problem. But that actually doesn't work even for people with endless gobs of cash. They fail often too. And that's why their marketing departments also use lean and fragile marketing, right? Because their marketing people are not worth hundreds of billions of dollars each, and the people that are don't want to burn all their money to fix a marketing problem. So as a marketer, you have to think outside the box. You have to think creatively. You have to make marketing information that is worthy of a response, that draws people into your product or your service with as high a focus on quality as you can reasonably deliver. So, for example, if you're going to do a photo shoot of your product, and as a marketer, you communicate that to whoever is going to be doing, organizing the shoot for you. Make sure that all the necessary things you need for that shoot are in place. All the authorizations are signed off on, all the photo sketches or photo descriptions and ingredients for the photos are all agreed upon, and so that when you go and all the photographer is agreed upon, the videographer is agreed upon, the sets, the background, the lighting, the angles, the number of images, the amount of video you might need, any post-production work you might want, whether it's photo editing, video editing, cleaning up of images, cropping of images, background removal of images, whatever it might be. All those kind of things. Or if you're, marketing, a new tire for a tire company, right? You want to make sure that if you're going to do a photo shoot about that, or if you're launching, a new marketing campaign about it, that all the necessary email connections to your CRM are hooked up properly. Make sure that your website is properly connected to your CRM. Make sure that your funnels are flowing properly. Make Make sure that your videos are loading properly. Make sure that it's responsive to serve people on whatever device they're looking at. Maybe that means you have to make multiple versions of your site. So for desktop versus tablet versus phone, and then for each operating system, Android, iOS, whatever, and even some older versions of the OSs, to make sure that the overwhelming majority of people have no problem loading your site, if not everybody, and that there's no latency, so that you have fast internet connections at your server end. All these kind of things matter when you're marketing stuff, especially online. Make sure you're in compliance with any regulations that you might need, whether that's GDPR, privacy policy, any kind of information that you collect that you have to post, or any other kind of thing you might. Make sure all of those things are in a row. Right, so in the example of a photo shoot, if you have a project, if you have the sketches of the photos you need, if you have the descriptions of the photos you need, you have all the elements of the photo you need, you have the people involved that you need, you have the background elements, the lighting elements, the kind of cameras you might need, whatever it is, the products that you need, whatever you need to display. Maybe you need to show an app on a phone, so make sure you have the right phone to bring, or phones, right? All of those different elements, you have all those things signed off. You have approval from whoever is responsible for that. Then, when you go for the shoot, you're going to have a much more fluid, smooth, frictionless experience creating the photo shoot and the video shoot. And you're going to get a much higher quality set of images and videos. Otherwise, if you go in with half of everything you need done, you're going to end up with a very haphazard result. And maybe what that means is you're going to have to spend more time cleaning up post-production work. You're going to have to spend more time, with your graphic designer removing backgrounds or cleaning the product image, removing unexpected, random things in the image or even on the product that you didn't take into consideration before the shoot, right? If you think about all these things and prepare beforehand, you will produce a much higher quality marketing experience. And that will translate directly into higher quality KPIs, which is what you, as a marketer, improve the user experience by improving the user interface. Well, a lot of the user interface has to do with the messaging, the things people see, read, consume, watch on the screen. It's not just the navigation tools. Sure, that's a clear part of the user interface, but it's not the only part, right? And if you're driving people to a landing page, you probably want to minimize as much as possible the amount of distractions on the page to keep focused on driving through your funnel. There's the old rule that if you take away all the links and you leave only one, then you'll increase the amount of clicks on that link by definition, right? Sometimes you want to have other links on the page because you can't help it, or because of branding issues, because of company issues, whatever it might be, or regulation issues. But the most that you can remove, you should remove in order to keep the user focused on the desired call to action. Now, maybe you want to split that up a little bit by adding some other actions on the page. Maybe it's a social sharing function. Maybe it's a contest, enter a contest or giveaway function in addition to whatever other CTA you might have on the page. Maybe it's, subscribe to the newsletter. Whatever it is, consider every one of those things very carefully and value or weigh them against what you value to be the worth of your actual primary CTA, because you don't want to destroy the results of your primary objective by stuffing the page with too many other distractions, right? You want to keep it focused. That's why you see some of the top performing landing pages at even some of the top marketing departments of top firms in the online space, they'll have landing pages where they might not even have the logo clickable, like their own logo, so that you can't click on it and assume it'll take you to the home page. They might even hide the nav bar, right? They might even hide their social channels buttons. They might hide anything so that so you don't click from the landing page to get to the social channels. Because how did you get there in the first place? Probably some marketing message, right? So if you already got there from a social channel or some other marketing means, that means you don't need to see other channels on the page, right? You can always get to see those other channels, because if you want to know more about that firm, then you'll most likely be able to find your way to their homepage and then be able to discover other things about them, like their social channels, if you really want to do that. But while people are on your landing pages, while people are on your marketing message pages, you want to keep them focused on that and that alone. Now, if you're driving them through the higher levels, sort of the first levels that they come into, maybe they come into your main site, and the whole purpose of your main site is a funnel to that landing page, or the transaction page. Then okay, you're going to have more links. They can look around the site, etc. Get familiar with what you do and who you are, etc. But when you actually bring them to the money page, right, or in some cases you might bring them to a middle page, as soon as they're on your middle page already, you want to reduce as much as possible the number of distracting links, right? Even if that's like playing a video on the page to explain to them about your product, then you want to see about removing the suggested videos if you're hosting your video on YouTube, using certain plugins that may or may not still work in 2023 that lets you hide the videos that you don't need. So c'est la vo? Okay. And so you want to minimize any distraction, including things like suggested videos, which again you can do either with coding, if you know how to do that, or with a plugin, or using a different hosting service for your videos. If your landing page is important enough and you have even a little budget, it's very worth using something like Wistia or Vimeo or Dailymotion. One of those, Vimeo, Wistia, those kind of things will generally let you play videos without suggestions at the end, right? It can be very worthwhile to do that instead, because if you have people looking at distraction links, guess what happens, right? As soon as your video is done explaining to them why they gotta buy your slice, your bread slicer, they're gonna see a related video, and even if it's from your own channel, they're gonna click on that video. They're gonna be taken to the home, to the YouTube site or wherever your video is hosted, and they're gonna get distracted by that, and then they won't necessarily, go ahead and make the transaction to buy your bread slicer. Whereas if you reduce and remove all unnecessary links on the conversion page, right, the money page, then you keep the focus tight, you keep the actions laser focused, and the only thing there is really to do is for people to make the decision on whether or not to buy from you, and if they decide to buy, there's really only one action for them to perform, and they don't need to be distracted by all of the unnecessary stuff. Anyway, those are some thoughts for now. Happy marketing, and talk to you soon. Cheers.